Let's get into it. Hotel hardpoint.
Let's lock in. It's time to lock in. We've had a little bit of fun so far. Now it's lock-in time, ladies and gentlemen.
And this match got crazy, but I will say Optic was kind of in the driver's seat for like a good portion of this map, and then it got close. But Kyler's going to break off here to Rugs. This is a very standard SMG break. Brandon finds a big two-piece. The break was perfect.
The break was perfect.
Starting on the bad side.
So right here, Riley, just make sure it's at 60 frames, just to shout. So right here, Faze starts on the good side of the map. And you kind of expect them to win that break and secure some of that P1 time, and that's kind of, they don't really win the break. The break's a little bit scrappy, and
I'm not talking Ernie.
And I'm not talking Ernie. And they kind of rotate into this P2, and they do get a decent initial setup, but this is a win for us right here, because we do end up breaking some of this P1 time, and it just gives us a chance to break P2, but we get some of that time and split with them off the rip. I mean, it gets bad when it's 30 seconds down, Faze is up 30, and they have a P2 rotation because they end up winning the break.
Yeah, so looking at the P2 rotation, right, just look at Faze's setup. You have Austin pushed out in Jules or Shop, whatever you call that, in that deep left room. You have number 7 on that God desk, that's abezy. Number 5 is going to get hill time, that's Cell, and he's definitely snaking those stairs. He's going to get hill time from that staircase.
Number 6
the snakes is pushed out desks over here deep left. So Faze has a pretty good setup. I mean, so the goal if you're Optic here is you want to isolate Austin because he's the first person you need to take care of. That guy needs to die.
This is a perfect setup out of Faze. Austin's kind of on a little bit of an island by himself, and you can go ahead and play this. We kind of see what happens to the setup.
I mean, some incredible shots from Kyler here. I remember my reaction. I was like, Jesus, those are some good shots. And now they're going to try breaking from the red door area, which I feel like a lot of teams tend to try breaking from the red door area, right? Like you want to come from broken. It's very hard to come through that mid door and even desks because you have such like a narrow lane with so many head glitches to look at.
Yeah.
So
I don't think we paused moving forward, by the way, because after that pause, it came out a little bit tweaky. But yeah.
Okay.
So Faze, I mean, they get a good initial hold. That red side is definitely favored, and I think it is the best place to break that hill from. I mean, you have a big door, you can wrap around the back, you can use your numbers, try to work that guy in the back because he's usually going to chow off the back stairs. So we actually end up breaking. Great break out of us. We played this map great the first half of the game. It gets a little bit sketchy on the second half, but we win this rotation over to Kitchen, or not yet, but just him getting one here and buying time is huge. Because
damn, Daniel.
You see that collapse come in instantly.
Yeah, I mean, Dan makes one, and you'd think that Faze would maybe like be able to secure that rotation, but no. Brandon's in this corner, and as soon as he finds 2 and gets that trophy down, I know we're in a pretty good spot. We're about to get a fresh 4 down, and now, I mean, you're in the best position possible. You're holding that P3. You have head glitches. cellium throws a stun at the door. And Optic can just sit corners and force Faze in.
Well, so what I was going to say is that Faze, whenever they have numbers there, it's obviously a lot harder to realize whenever you're in the moment during the match. But they get numbers there on that rotation. They don't know that they have them, but I feel like they should have known that they had them. They let Ghosty get that first kill, and then they sort of take their time in the back, and then it allows shotzzy to come in and pinch them and shoot them in the back. But they do end up breaking in, getting scrap time, but this is great for us right here. This is like best case scenario.
Yeah.
Forfeit the last 15, win a row. The fundamental hard point that I saw from the team today compared to their last series against New York was night and day. It was not the same team. They were committing to their rotations. But on a map like Hotel, it kind of forces you to commit to the rotations.
Yeah.
You can't really play scrap time as heavy as like a Mercado or like a Hydra. You know, it kind of forces you into those rotations.
Yeah, I mean, Brendan also makes a big fight there in the back because if he loses that, his guy Goddesk, shotzzy here, is going to get pinched from the back stairs as well. So Brandon makes a big one before getting traded out. Optic still has spawns, so they're spawning Spa, and they can flood quick. Number 5 is actually going to spawn behind them now, but Optic get a good chunk of time on that. I'm okay with trading a 30 as long as you have the rotation to do.
Yeah, I mean, of course. And again, you kind of see Faze. We're just going back and forth, trading this time, and they end up getting this 20 seconds, but at what cost? We're keeping all of these hills scrappy, and we're also rotating at the same time. So you see 3 and 4 on the minimap. In their minds, they're like, okay, there's 10 seconds left. Let's just stay here, get this rotation. All of Faze is at ult. All 4 of them.
Correct. And then they have full map control, right? They can sit in time, they can snake the headies, they can stay pushed out shop. Faze sort of has to go break a pretty tough setup. Ghosty throws his life there. I would like to see Dan maybe play his life in kitchen, be a harder kill, even get weak and run back, just for safety, because now it gets a little sketchy, right? They know kitchen's open. Luckily, Brandon finds 2, but now it's just a trade battle, whereas we could have played our lives a little better.
Well, I see that a lot. Like, AR players on this rotation going into this diner hill, like, they'll play outside of kitchen, and more times than not, they're either getting killed without getting a single kill, or they're just instantly getting traded. Both scenarios are bad for the team that's trying to hold, because then you don't know if someone's pinching from the double side of the map, the double arches, and then you see now Faze starts to get those kitchen spawns for next, and this is where things can start to get a little hairy.
Yeah, so right now the score is great for Optic, but looking at the minimap right now, Faze is definitely in the driver's seat to take the lead here. I mean, you have back kitchen area, you have the back spawns. Luckily, Kyler finds 2 at all, which is huge, because if Optic gets wiped there, you're spawning out again, and you give Faze even more time to get a setup. Ant slips to the back, and now we're going to flip spawns to Faze coming front, which is obviously optimal, right? On this hill, you want your opposition spawning in that spy area, forced to cross bed, and even cut mid and come through that mid court. So Optic, once again, with a great rotation.
Yeah, I mean, this was best case scenario. Ant slips through the cracks, bottom bed, ends up killing Cell for free, basically. They don't really get any info on the back stairs, and we end up breaking those spawns. But right as soon as he does that, I mean, Faze, it's a talented team, a very talented team. So we always talk about getting punished in respawns and stuff against some of the better top echelon teams. And Faze is just one of those teams that's going to punish you every single time. And they just break through the front at will. You see cellium start to win some good gunfights. I mean, this was a battle today. And the team handled it, I mean, just about as good as you could.
Yeah, I mean, Faze did not dominate Optic like they've been dominating the rest of the stage. Like, Faze has looked lights out besides their loss against Thieves. So I'm proud of the guys, right? Cellium's having a great map at 18 and 13. They just have so many different players that can pop off at any given moment. We saw abezy pop off so many different times. Like, they literally have, on paper, a star-studded roster. So we played this incredibly well today.
And I want to add one thing before we get back into kind of the analytics and breaking it down. People got to chill on the Optic rosters after one bad series. It is actually insane. I went on Reddit last night after their series, and every single post was negative. I get that it's easy to turn around quickly and be like, this team has no hope. This team looked like shit this series, which it's going to happen, guys. This is one of the most day-to-day Call of Duties that I think I've ever played personally and I've ever watched personally. You see teams, it's impossible to call series, and I mean, you see it again today. Everyone had Faze winning today.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a huge team like Optic, I think everybody sort of just grasps for straws, and they're looking for something to blame. Like, this player did this player did this change did this. It's a very competitive league. You're not going to win them all. You're playing pretty much top teams in every single match. You got to have a short-term memory if you're them and go into each match with that same confidence and block out the noise, because it can obviously get annoying and frustrating, but you have to give the guys the benefit of the doubt, and I feel like, obviously, when it comes to Optic, it's just everyone's so quick
amplified
to jump to a conclusion, a change, this. You got to give the team time.
Yeah, and right here,
today.
Yeah, I just want to point out, Faze gets a good hold on this P2, but again, we're just making these hills so damn scrappy every time. You see shotzzy get in through red door, he just lays down on dark corner heady and just plays his life. Lays there, gets 1 kill, ends up popping a 2-piece in. All of that contest time is huge. When you have a 60-point lead like this, all you have to do is stay ahead of the rotation and win 1 rotation, and you basically seal the game. And that's not what happens. Here we're ahead of the rotation. I don't really exactly remember what happens here. We do have a listen-in. Do we want to listen to the listen-in?
I mean, I want to listen at the same time. I think this is when Brandon pops the huge 3-piece, and the boys just got a big hold, and this is when it was looking like a pretty clear-cut game. And we'll see if the game pans out that way. We obviously know, but if you're watching for the first time, you'll have to wait and see. Kyler's playing exactly how he should. He kind of gets put in a weird position here, but I like how he plays his life for as long as possible, right? Like, he could have died 3 seconds earlier. Even buying 3 seconds at this level is very important.
It's huge.
Faze gets a big break, but we're spawning in a spot where Ant gets a big nade kill, thankfully, and we can just flood hill and sort of overpower him here.
And Cell, I mean, talk about someone with good form. I believe this is where Brandon gets that huge 3-piece.
There's
just
Bruce.
Bust this wide open. Can I get a Roos in the chat, please? The guy goes absolutely massive. That scrap time is so big at this point in the game. He just has a huge 3-piece. Brandon had a lights-out series today. shouts out to him.
And their comms. I mean, let's just talk about the way the team sounded today. I mean, every single player was stepping up, including Brandon. He's, we're spawning out front. They can spawn here. Ghosty was screaming, and we can hear the boys getting hyped from the watch party couch. So everybody's stepping up in the communication aspect. Like, it is incredible to see this level of passion and confidence, even after a loss yesterday and everybody being on their case.
Everybody.
So the boys knew how important this one was, and they played like it. But Faze is obviously not out of this one yet, so it's still a battle.
Yeah, this hill has kind of turned into an absolute just brawl. I mean, this hill specifically on this map, there's not really many bang-out hills on this map. This one has kind of turned into it. It's really just throwing bodies at the hill. I think there is a preferred side to spawn on, but I don't think that it's a crazy advantage, because the subs close the distance on the front of the hill, and they can kind of just camera whoever's in that left corner, or if they're not in the left corner, they just swing wide and kill the guy right. But it's just been an absolute bang out to this point. And we go into this diner rotation, and it looks good for a second here. It looks like we're about to just close the game, and that is not the case, obviously.
Yeah, no, definitely it gets a little hairy as Brandon breaks in, but Cell's playing his life. I mean, that's a player who is a very hard kill on the map to begin with, and he's just outweighting Brandon. Luckily, Ant comes through with an amazing two-piece. Dan finds one, and
right here I think it's over. Right here I think this map is over. So it's a little bit awkward because Dan has to watch his back rugs to make sure nobody's pinching it, but they just got 3 dead and nobody ends up hitting it. So he kind of gets made useless on the hill because he's watching a lane that nobody hits. And Faze just breaks right back in. And even at this point, I think we're good, because we still have back kitchen spawn. We're still in the driver's seat here to win this map.
Yep.
I mean,
that's an ad break. So there's
we did not think about that.
We didn't think about ad block. So don't worry about the ad. We're gonna it's 15 seconds of downtime. We got some beautiful birds from flamingos. Taking flight. This vacation?
First show, we had a big wrench in the watch party earlier. We've been running all over this place like headless chickens, and we didn't download ad block.
Listen, I think we go to Florida for vacation, but let's get back into it. Abezy, this kid's a pain in the ass. He's gonna find 2.
He drops 41 this map.
Yeah, so we thought it'd be a pretty clear-cut map after some of these rotations, but you could never count Faze out. And here's when I kind of started to shit my pants. Faze breaks the back. They can win off this new hill, assuming they get time quickly, which Cellium does. So we have to contest for a few seconds, but this reminded me of the last time we played them.
Yes, exactly. I was gonna bring that up. Last time we played them, it came down to an absolute grade A bang out on this plat hill, and we get the same exact thing this time, but it doesn't end here. Faze breaks through the back. Right here, I was shitting my pants. I was like, there's no way, because I gotta be honest, if we lose this map, Elasillo's coming up next.
Yeah.
It starts to look like we're gonna need another reverse sweep.
Yeah.
And thankfully the boys hold on. It becomes just so mixy here at the end. Thankfully, I knew we were gonna contest and go to the P1 just because there wasn't too much time left on it. They couldn't win mathematically, and yeah, I mean, take it away.
But I mean, just look, like P1 even gets sketchy here because we're still hitting old time. I don't necessarily think I agree with hitting it with how late we hit that. I'd rather just set up and maybe try to get some diner control, some kitchen control, to get into some power positions. Nonetheless, we put them. It's a pretty, I guess, even spot here. It's like we got to make kills. They got to make kills. Abezy calls a streak. Cell and Simp combine for 2. So there it gets sketchy. But Brandon get with a big nade kill. And at this point, when you have 2 teammates dead, your goal is to keep your opponents off the point.
Yeah, I just want to highlight Brandon here. He's double arches watching over Ghosty. Ghosty's just snaking for his dear life. Brandon gets a huge 2-piece. This is the kill right here. The kill by shotzzy main buys time. That guy would have got a 2-piece on Brandon probably because Brandon was weak and he knew where he was if he doesn't win that gunfight.
Yep.
Kyler comes into hill. I don't even know how Brandon killed that guy Beacon. And that's the map. That was the whole series right there, in my personal opinion. If we lose that map, again, Elasillo, Faze was 10-2 going into that map today, and they were on an 11-game search and destroy win streak.
Yeah.
So we lose that map, again, we're looking at a reverse sweep, or we're just going to have to reverse sweep.
Yeah, it's also incredible for team confidence, right? Like, you get 3-0 by New York, you're starting to think a little bit like, damn, like we've gotten 3-0 by Toronto, 3-0 by New York. What's going on here? Because I know their practice goes great. So this first map sets the precedent, and it just gives everybody that extra confidence that they need for this series. Like, okay, yesterday water under the bridge. We're fucking back.
Yeah. I mean, this is just a huge series going into the major. I mean, again, we lose to New York. I'm sure the team is a little bit deflated after that. Confidence might be a little bit low, but they bounce back next day and they take on the best team in the game at the moment. I don't think we can really argue that. Riley, should we do one more map deep dive? What do we think?
Did we do one more? Up to us? I think we do the Mercado Hardpoint, man. I mean, this series was huge. We unfortunately didn't get to watch this map with everybody watching at home.
Yeah, let's watch it.
Because the watch party dropped.
We didn't get to watch it, so let's...
Before I do, I want to say an insane control performance from Optic today. They win 3-0 versus a very strong control team. Optic has not looked good at all in control, and it's scary to play a team like Faze who is so good at search and control because they kind of have a guaranteed second and third game mode versus both teams.
Yeah.
It goes to show that Optic was obviously aware that this was one of their weaknesses. They've been in the lab. They've been working hard, and you can't ask for a better team to be in control in that type of fashion going into the home major.
No, it's a 3-0 Faze in control. I mean, that's never going to be easy. Phases look great in control. I think they were 9-5 today on Hotel going into the map. I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what they were. So, I mean, they're winning it twice, losing it once for the most part. Optic, even when I was on the team, we were kind of struggling in control. And today, whenever they needed it most, I mean, that swing map was huge. Because, again, I was scared if we went to a Game 5 with Faze. As good as our search has been throughout the year, especially since picking up Kyler, Faze is, again, on a 12-game win streak now in Search and Destroy after beating us on map 2. I mean...
They are a scary search team.
Very scary. Go ahead. Let's start the map.
Mercado Hardpoint. We saw some crazy moments. Obviously, we were still watching. Once again, if you were watching with us on the watch party, apologies. Was obviously, as he said, we did not plan for a breakdown before the breakdown, but nonetheless, a crazy map here. We're also starting on good side, which is huge. Mercado is one of those maps where if you can win the break in a pretty dominant fashion and spawn trap them tin, you're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah. So we start on the good side, and this was something that I kept highlighting during the watch party, obviously before we unfortunately crashed, was this is our opportunity right here. We have Faze 2-1 against the ropes. We're starting on the good side, which is green side on this map. We have the advantage in this final map, and the boys come out. We don't even really get to watch the back half of the game because we were absolutely tweaking. But they come out and they play this map phenomenal from what I was watching. Ahead of rotations, big breaks. I mean, everything that you need to do on this map. Ant making a just heads-up play here, holding this green control. Look how annoying he's being.
I mean, he's literally Spider-Man here. I mean, Jesus.
And we might be seeing something like that in just a little bit in one of our later segments. I don't want to give away too much. I'm sure you guys have seen some of them on the left side of the screen. But yeah, this is textbook. They get a nice hold on that P1 hill, and they hold the rotation for green, and Faze is in a rough spot here. They're forced to break.
I mean, you can't ask for a better situation, right? You're spawning that back barber alley. You can stun nade over that roof and land them on hedge.
Just
so
like
right now, like, Faze is getting bombarded. Of course, they have trophies, but the trophies only block so much. So Optic's coming off spawn. They're attack spamming. We get a clean wipe here, and I believe we take the lead like 78-0 off the break, which, I mean, it goes without saying. I mean, you can't ask for a better swing of events than starting off 80-0 against a team like Faze.
It is the ideal scenario, map 4, to go up 78-0 or whatever it ends up being. Obviously, we've seen crazy comebacks in the past, but to put a team on the back foot that early, especially a team like Faze, you kind of got to hit them and hit them hard. Yeah. And whenever you do hit them, you got to keep them down. You don't want to ever give them like that gasp of air to get back up and get a breath of fresh air to come back into it. But Faze, this is their opportunity on this P3 tin hill. You see they get a clean rotation, and this is their chance to claw back in.
Yeah, and the thing with Faze is I feel like a lot of teams when they play Faze, they kind of slow down a bit and don't bring the pressure to Faze, and we did not do that today. Like, Optic brought the pressure. They were fighting. They were confident, and that's the way you have to play against Faze. You have to match their confidence, their energy, because as soon as you start meeting them halfway and start taking those fights, it's not something that they're used to all the time, because a lot of teams really take a step back and play like a tad slower against them.
And Riley, can we just make sure it's on 60 frames just to...
Yeah, once again, we apologize if it's choppy.
We're going to fix it for the next one. So this one, we're basically broadcasting it through like 3 different softwares, but I think Raj said next time we're going to try to get everything hardwired, so it's a much smoother feed. So just bear with us just for this one. And yeah, so right here, we're rotating to the Zig Hill P4. This hill has kind of turned into a bang out as well. You see an unfortunate team nade, but we should still maintain those spawns because we just have bodies over here. Actually, we get a pinch spawn, which also isn't bad as long as we win a couple of these initial gunfights.
Yeah, right now it's kind of just a dogfight, right? It's just player versus player. You got to hopefully make some kills, throw your attacks. Brandon finds a big 2. The problem is cellium's back alley. He answers back with 2. So it's going to get scrappy, but this is... I feel like on Mercado there are so many hills where if you get control of them, the way the spawns work, you can kind of just trap the team, right? Like they're going to be forced to come through mid and gate or take a long route all the way around green. Faze ends up getting the scrap time, but Mercado's a very punishing map, especially when you get to that P5, P6 area.
Yeah, so again, this is one of those maps that forces you to kind of rotate, but it's a lot scrappier than Hotel is whenever you're looking at those last 30 seconds of hills. That's the scrap time on this map can add up really, really quickly just because most of the time teams are leaving like 20 seconds because they're hard rotating because, again, this map is so punishing if you don't stay ahead of the game. I mean, especially against a team like Faze, you get behind in this, you're running into simp, cell, abezy, slasher. It's just impossible. And right here, great rotation out of the boys to this P5 tin hill again.
Let me highlight shotzzy. He gets a big 2-piece, but he finds slasher who actually spawns on that dumpster.
Did he get that spawn?
Yeah, so I don't think they were accounting for that. Luckily, Ant sniffs him out. I'm not sure if it was sound, intuition, luck, whatever it is. Ant finds the kill, and now we are in, once again, a good position here to hold this time.
Yeah, great position here. Let me give some gas to Ant. I mean, that guy absolutely took the fuck over on this map. I think he ends up dropping close to 30, basically goes double positive, and at the end of the game, we're going to see another highlight play from the kid. I mean, he's basically a walking highlight reel. We talk about top subs in the league, and he's right up there with all of them. I mean, this guy, any given day, he comes out, he's a magician on the map.
And let me also say, he kind of like took, I think, your role as the face of the league, one of the faces of the league.
And it's a dumb one.
He's dumb.
He's dumb.
But he is getting, he has a microscope on him, where every bad play he makes is highlighted and talked about maybe more than the average player. And every great play he makes is also going to be highlighted and put under a spotlight. So he's under a microscope, and I think he's dealing with it well. He's putting in the time streaming. He's doing content, and he's also playing like this against what everybody considers right now the best team in the world. So shout out to Ant. I mean, he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders right now.
So, I mean, right here, again, kind of just textbook. So we rotate early. Faze does a good job, and again, it's one of those strengths of Faze. I mean, I don't know exactly what their stats are on break percentage on some of these maps, but I assume that they're pretty damn high with a sub-duo like an abezy and simp. You see them kind of just break into that top green hill, which is P6, and the rotation's on. So I actually love the way 2 and 4 are playing this. They're basically bottlenecking them through that back alley. There's only that zig doorway or the back heady. This is a great rotation out of them, and I think this is kind of where they start to climb and run away with this game here with a decent hold.
I love how tight they're playing on this RV hill too, right?
Yeah,
Number 4 is going to play his life on time. Unfortunately, Cell gets that pick, but number 1's not godheady. Number 2 is playing a creddy corner, and right now Ant's just good. Right now his goal, play his life for as long as possible, find another kill if possible, but be a nuisance. Right here, we're spawning out T. This is honestly Faze in the better position here because you're forced to flood through this garage or T area. But right now your goal is to obviously break or make it mixy or just trying to contest some of this time.
I mean, again, you kind of just see what we're saying come to life again. We have a beautiful rotation. I don't think we overchowed on that at all. Some people might argue that with Kyler kind of challenging that guy back heady, but he had the information on him. Faze just breaks in. They win a couple gunfights. They're not supposed to. It's the effect that team has. Hydra has it, but we end up getting this scrap time, and you can see he's already green. He's in mid-tunnel making sure that we hold down those spawns for P1, which is absolutely massive. So props to Ghosty. He's having a slow map here, but
it's all good. He's
making a heads-up play.
Fundamental plays. Simp gets an insane kill there. Plankton on your screen. He's going to find the headshot. Like you said, I just want to echo that. You want to keep these green spawns for both P1 and P2. Obviously, P2 rotates to that bottom house. And from that green spawn, you can you have free reign of the map. You can pinch that barber side and go to the godheady. You can hold off angles on tunnel. You, without a doubt, 100% of the time want to be controlling green. And you can also get a lot of hill time on P1 because they're force spawning tin if you're playing the map the right way, and they have to come through that mid cut,
Well, they're getting
dark,
choked.
or wrap around gate.
Yeah, they have three lanes. They can either go dark, CT, which is where number 4 is right now, or they can go like taco side, P7, or they're just running through mid alley and do an absolute blend. So right here is where things start to get a little hairy. I think our stream was down at this point, but we were watching, and I was basically saying in my head, oh no, this is their chance to come back into the game. They have a full green rotation. Hill pops at 60 seconds, but pretty sure the boys end up either breaking or at least splitting some decent time here.
I mean, this is the right play. You want to
And
go
they
back Barber.
insta-break, yeah.
Notice what they do. They go back Zig or Barber side. You have your ARs post up and chow the guys on the top balcony, and your subs run up close, and they chow the close angles. That close Zig cut, that close door. Then if you kill the guy top balcony, your subs can take routes top. A lot of teams set up a pinch, right? You can do 2 or 3 back Barber, then 1 late pinch, either dark or, L or tunnel.
Yeah.
But right there, they opt for the 4, and it works, right? Brandon finds a big headshot to make it a 2v1 scenario. So Brandon, once again, winning a huge fight.
Brandon finds that first pick mid, and somebody from Faze, I think OE's there, and dies before the rotation even starts, and it puts them in a numbers advantage, and they just take advantage of their 4v3 numbers right there.
This is where we were all pretty positive Optic Texas is about to win the game.
Yes. We're watching this, streams down. We're like, okay, we win. So Ant's going to call in a cruise missile here in just a second. Again, shouts out to Ant, 24 and 13. Here comes the cruise. He's going to get a 2-piece with this through the top window. And at this point, we're like, okay, this is over, right?
Yeah.
But who is it?
It's shotzzy with the 2. And let me also say, I saw a stat from Dr. Doug Lieb on Twitter. Cruise missiles have a 17% success rate because of trophies. So think about that. Players are going on 6 sprees.
I mean, we got to highlight
that.
We
are stopping them. I mean, should I rewind?
Rewind. If it lags a little bit, who cares? Because we're about to move on into our next segment of the show. But
right here, you're thinking Optic Texas have this in the bag. Abezy's by himself. We're going to pinch him. We're going to trade him. It's a 3v1. The kid finds 4.
Look at the form on that. You can only see his shoulder for a split second. Ant said that he was trying to jump to find the angle on him, and he only sees a advertisement.
It's all right. Add 1 of 3. Once again, this won't happen again. It's our first show. Cut us some slack. In the meantime, abezy pops a crazy 4-piece. Obviously, one of those things that you can't really account for. That's one of those things. I mean, we're looking at birds. Go ahead. Say your fucking bird thing.
Well, I'm the biggest bird. I'm the biggest bird. Thank you guys for joining us. Again, we have these ads. We'll break down the final moments of this map, and then we're going to be moving on into our next segment. This is where the show starts to get a little bit... After this, it starts to get a little bit more...
The show is what we think a good bit of fun, as well as trying to provide insight and analytics. And, of course, we want criticism after the show. What did you like? Maybe what you didn't like. And, of course...
I mean, this one's a minute long.
Listen, we got some time. As the show progresses, we can remove segments, add segments, adjust segments.
Make segments longer.
This show is for your entertainment, so please, obviously, try to be constructive about it. If you don't like something, just tell us why and maybe give us some ideas, and we will adjust things as we go. But
I mean, we're super open to the criticism. Just please keep it somewhat respectful. I mean, we've been working on this for pretty much the past, month? Getting all the graphics
officially
made
for a month, but we've been talking about it for months.
Yeah,
because
getting all the graphics made, making sure everything works. I mean, that's why our computer exploded earlier, was because we have so many scenes and so many graphics and transitions that were put into OBS that it just blew the computer. Or it didn't blow the computer up, but it blew OBS up. So, I mean, we've been working really hard on this, guys. I hope that you guys are enjoying thus far, but the ad is about to be done, and let's jump back into the final moments of the map 4 to propel us into winner's bracket.
Yeah, so, I mean, we could talk about abezy all day. Obviously, one of the best players in the world, if not what many consider the best SMG in the world. He pulls a 4-piece out of his ass, and
basically
he extends the map longer than we thought possible. So shout out to abezy. I mean, that's one of those players that can make a play like that, and you can't fault anybody for that. I mean,
sorry for the lag after we unpause. It's a little bit skippy, but yeah, we'll be seeing him on a breakdown team of the week. I want to say
if he slips me 5
pretty soon. Yeah, he might have to throw us a 5 gifty. 5 gifty. We might throw him on team of week.
10 gifted, he's a guarantee.
10 gifted,
5 gifted, I'll put him in the conversation. But to get back on track, Optic once again. They have rotation here to Barber, and this is also a rotation where next fights win, right? If Optic lose these fights, they will spawn in Narnia, and Faze will be in prime position to win. So this next wave of kills is imperative.
But
and there's shotzzy.
Who other than my main man, my old sub duo, Anthony Cuevas Castro, coming in with a big old 3-piece to close out the map. Bada bing, bada boom. That's a winner's bracket berth. We'll be seeing you guys on Thursday.
I think he goes 29-14 as well.
Yeah.
So like I said, I mean, he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders. And what's impressive is the pace he's setting and the type of play style he has. Like, he is constantly moving. He's not sitting on head glitches waiting for players to come to him. He is taking the fight to you in 95% of the time.
Him and Kyler. They've both been playing at an insane pace as a sub-duo. But that's going to do it for the deep dive, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys enjoyed that segment, breaking down the map more analytically for you guys. Next, we're going to have to put somebody on